We are going to discuss now the market for the common stock. So the common stock this topic is one of the most important among the topics here in chapter 2 of the fundamentals of financial management. So first is we would like to establish that there are privately owned corporation or closely held corporations, and there are also publicly owned corporation. So when you say privately owned, their stocks or shares of stocks are not available in the market. In other words, they're not listed. So if you're going to buy their shares of stocks, you cannot buy that in the stock market. Okay? While in the publicly owned corporations, you can buy your shares of stocks anytime as long as they are available for sale in the listed. So if the buyer, if the seller is willing to sell at that price and you agree to the price as a buyer, then transactions can be done, okay, right away. The second thing that you have to know about the stock, about the market, the common stock, are the types of stock market transactions. So, for the purpose of this discussion, they classify the stock market transactions into different distinct categories. First is outstanding shares of established publicly owned companies that are traded, which is the secondary market. So, these are already issued shares of stocks. As I said before, then those holders of the shares of stocks are now selling to the other parties who are interested. Okay, for different reasons. Why is that they are selling? Now that transfer now from the existing holder of the shares of stocks to the interested buyer is what we call the secondary market. Okay. Now, this second additional shares held by established publicly owned, the primary market. This is, for instance, for instance, the corporation now is authorized to issue 10,000 and they issued already 3,000, and they now wants to issue another 1,000. Then that's additional issuance. And since that is the first time that they are going to issue the shares of stocks, there are no existing holders of that. So we call that one as a primary market. Now, these initial public offerings, it's different because this we call this as IPO because this is the first time that a corporation is going to offer to the public their shares of stocks. Okay. The second one that I'm talking about is that they already offered some of their shares and they have the additional, but still they are called the primary. However, this is the first time, so that's why we call that one as IPO market. Okay, like for example, the summer of 2004, Google sold shares to the public for the first time, like that. So it happened. So that's the first time. The GM, General Motors, they do that also. Also with the Facebook, Twitter, etc. So you can see some history in here about the IPO for some startups, the company that need to raise some capitals. So they do that. You can read the history of that, including Facebook's, Twitter, etc. Here, when it comes to stock markets and returns, of course, every investor are really very positive when it comes to their investment. So they expect for prices to go up, and they expect what to be realized. That so if there is a what you call this one positive difference of that what they expect and what they have invested, so that would give them a return of their stock. Okay, so the few years ago, there's the best source of stock quotations. Here you will know the returns. For instance, in S&P, these are the returns and the dividend yield plus the capital gains. It's like the dividends received. There are two ways in order to reap returns of your investment. It could be in the form of dividends, or it could be, if there are no dividends, then you can reap the returns out of selling those shares of stocks, okay, to the other parties. So that's so. In here, these are the reporting shown in figure 2.2 from S&P index here. So the blue and the negative. So we have the negative return in here in 2008. Basically, that was the financial crisis, and also in 2003 it was an Asian crisis at the time. So In the recent years, until 2018, there is a data for that, so we can see it. Here for the Twitter, you can see the fluctuation of the stock prices. Here from 2000, as you can see, it went down to 2000 in 2017. This is just a summary, so you can have this history about their stock prices, stock quotation. Later in this book, in chapter 8 and 9, we'll discuss how the rate of return of the stocks are to be computed to give us an idea. But again, those are the guide only for us, for the investors, to have a concrete perspective about how the stock markets, because the stock price or the returns will not always reflect for the stock prices if there is a return. So it depends upon the perspective or speculation made by the mob or by the buyers or the players in the stock market.